At this point, I think I'm more than convinced that Cam Higby is intentionally being an agitator. Like, it's pretty obvious right now. Now, for those of y'all who are unaware, I did a live stream talking about Cam Higby and that David Kyatt guy who went on TSU's campus a couple weeks ago, and a whole bunch of stuff just came from it. It became a big deal, going on the campus when they weren't supposed to be. Well, now he's trying his luck at going from an HBCU to a PWI, that PWI being University of Maryland in College Park. And this was a post that he made right here. And apparently he went on the campus, tried to set up shop there and do the same thing that he tried to do on TSU. And then he left this post right here. It says, update, the University of Maryland has kicked us off campus. Now, one thing that I really noticed as I was scrolling through some of the posts that I'm gonna go over, because people had wrote to him and he responded back. But I'm gonna actually mention that maybe more so towards the end, because I noticed something very interesting that he didn't do in this situation that he did with TSU. So let me go ahead and pull up some of these posts that people made and how ridiculous he sounded replying back to them. And I swear it's rooted in straight up arrogancy. So this person right here said, did you have approval to be there? You have to have approvals. Cam wrote back and said, I actually do have approval. It was given to me 233 years ago when the First Amendment of the United States Constitution was ratified. Look at how he chose to respond to this. He's trying to use the First Amendment as a way of saying that should be his approval to go on any campus he wants and set up shop and host these so-called debates. But these are the same people that claim that they're doing this in honor of Charlie Kirk. And like I said, even though I had several issues with Charlie Kirk and definitely far from a fan, at least he went through the proper channels in order to have those so-called debates on the campus. He didn't just show up with a table and some signs that looked like they were made by some elementary school kids to set up shop in front of a campus, in front of people, and just put a camera and a microphone in their face and ask them ridiculous questions and try to make it seem like you're smarter than you actually are. But trust and believe, I have a few more responses that we're going to go through that are just as bad and as ridiculous as this one is. This person right here says, do they require permits for table setups? I think that's how they do it at UIUC. To which Cam responded with, yes, they illegally require permits. He said illegally. He's trying to make it seem like UMD or even TSU, and most likely any other school that he's gone to probably before, he's trying to make this a thing. And I truly believe he's trying to turn this into a thing, like this is what he's trying to be known for. They all require a permit. Like, I literally looked it up. Like, they all require permits. Before I go into the next post, let me go over what it said when I Googled it. It says permits on public college campuses are most commonly required for parking and access to certain restricted areas. While many campuses have quote unquote open common areas, you will generally need to obtain a virtual or physical permit, often tied to your vehicle's license plate or an ID, to park on campus or enter secure zones. The specifics of what permits are needed, how to obtain them, and their associated rules vary by institution and are typically detailed on the college's parking or campus safety website. And the reason why I pulled this up is because it seems like a lot of people who claim to be so high IQ, they hear public college campuses and they think that means, oh, since the college is public and it has these open common areas, I can just come on there and do whatever I want, even if I'm not a student or I don't have to have a permit. And a lot of those individuals were in his comment section as well, talking like that. And they just as dumb as he is. But let's continue with these posts. This person right here says, nobody is going to let y'all set up like that right now. The climate is still too hot. Cam replied with, we've already done it at UW 2 times, GSU 2 times, Clemson, UNC, UNC Charlotte, UTK, and TSU. And you already saw what happened at TSU. We already saw exactly what the aftermath of it was with that. Now that says that they set up. Now the question I would have probably asked after the fact was, did they let you stay? Did you get escorted or kicked off of the campus? because it's evident that you set up your table. We saw that. But how long were you there? And I also would like to know, how long was it before you got kicked off of UMD's campus? Because I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't stay that long. And see, now that they made that whole thing where it was what occurred at TSU, now people are going to see them coming. And the thing is, just like with TSU, they came in wearing them red hats, and now that's their calling card. People going to know what to look for whenever they come on that campus. And it's like they just don't care. He's doing it to seek attention. Well, I should say they, because it's a two-man team. They're doing it to seek attention. At the end of the day, they don't want no debate. And I think now people are starting to wake up and realize it, but it's a shame that it took it to happen at a PWI for people to kind of latch on. But when it was TSU, because it was mainly black students at an HBCU, that's when they wanted to say what they were saying all along. But like I said, put a pin in that, because like I said, I have something that I really want to discuss about that towards the end of this video. But let's continue with these posts. This person said, maybe try calling ahead like a professional. Cam replied with, yeah, we did call. They don't answer. Well, then that means they don't want you there. If they don't answer, then just take it as they're rejecting your offer without telling you that they're rejecting your, giving you a permit to be on that campus. You don't just show up because you want to or because you think that you can. Like I said, the arrogance from this dude is crazy. It's borderline insane at this point, because now what you're doing is proving people's point that you're not there for a debate. You're there to cause confrontation. It's pretty obvious, because you would think that if you continuously do this and you keep getting the same results, that's the definition of insanity. If you're not going through the proper channels to get these permits like you're supposed to, like everybody else, now people are seeing this for what it is. Of course, you still have his echo chamber on there saying, oh, this is the left, and they love to blame things on the left. They love doing that. I don't know. I mean, they do it with dub on dub crime as well, so I'm not surprised that they would do it here with this as well. And it's interesting because this happened at a PWI. As a matter of fact, all the other schools that he mentioned in the previous post were all PWIs except TSU. So very interesting indeed. And this is the last post I'm gonna go over, because this is the last one I saw that he replied to. This person says, were you invited? Cam responded with, yes. 233 years ago, I was invited to express myself on public property without infringement from the government. So he's talking about let's leaning back into the other one about the First Amendment. And this one is kind of replying in the same way, but he's expanding on it again, still bastardizing the First Amendment like that. What? This is how you should not be taking this dude seriously whatsoever, just based on how he replied to people with what they asked him about not being invited, getting a permit, and how he chose to respond. Like, he sounds so immature. And I think he's like in his early 20s. He definitely acts like half his age. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure there are kids half his age that even act like this. Like, look at how he responded. How do people take someone like this seriously based on how they chose to respond to these questions? He knows he's not supposed to be there, yet he chooses to still go there because that arrogance in him is telling him to do so. And I'm white and I say so. That's what it boils down to. He says, I'm white and I say so, and nobody can tell me any different. I'm going to do what I want when I want, and I dare somebody to stop me. Well, he better be careful. That's all I'm going to say. He's lucky right now. All that he's getting is escorted off the campus. Now, remember when I was talking about saying putting a pin in what I mentioned earlier, especially when it comes to TSU? This is what I mean. At the time of me recording this video, this is what's currently pinned at the top of his page. Now, if y'all watched the live stream that I did, this was that longer video that I showed in the live stream involving Cam Higby, and this was pinned at the top of his page, meaning he wants people to see this video first when they come onto his page. And what I noticed is that this particular video was pinned at the top of his page, which means we already know he had an agenda. We knew he had an agenda from jump. But what I also noticed is that when I was scrolling through his page and I got that tweet, he did not have any video footage of him being escorted off of UMD's campus. So we'll never know how the people actually responded to him being escorted off the campus, or just him being escorted. So he just typed something there and said that he was escorted off of the campus. He didn't put any video out there. And the reason why I truly believe that is because UMD is a PWI. He wasn't about to make them look bad, but I bet you if he went to another HBCU and it had the same type of response that TSU did, he would make another recording and he would put it out there. I really don't care if UMD didn't respond in the same way TSU did or not. It's the fact that he didn't get any footage of him being escorted off, and he pinned this one at the top of his page. So it's pretty obvious what angle he was trying to go with. And then, like I said, you follow up with what happened with you at UMD, not even a week, because the post that he made, the UMD post that he made, was on the 29th. This one right here on your screen was posted on the 24th from something that happened on the 23rd. So I'm telling you, he's going to pop up at some more schools, and he's going to do the same thing there as he did at UMD and at TSU and all those other schools, because he already put it in that tweet that I showed you that he's gone to other schools as well, and it looks like it rendered the same type of results. So again, he's not there to do a debate. He's there to agitate. That's really what he's there for. And if you go look at my live stream, especially towards the end of it, before I start bringing people up to talk, then you'll see what he's really all about. But that's going to bring this video to a close. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.